Hey loves, welcome back to Day Spills Tea. I of course am the lovely Day, and today we got to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville from last night. The episode was kind of dry and boring in my opinion, but y'all let me know how y'all felt about it down in the comments below. Before we jump into that though, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Show me just a little bit of love. It ain't gotta be a lot, just like a one little click, hit the thumbs up button. And if you could be so kind as to drop a comment, that helps too. Anyways, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that so that way you get notified every time I post a new video. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the episode starts out, they are basically leaving Vegas. So they've had this trip where Melody and Martell have done all types of tomfoolery, screaming and yelling. People done had to break them up. Marsau had to put hands on Martell and drag him out of the room. And, you know, it was a mess, like really embarrassing. I'm glad they were in a private house and not like at a hotel where a bunch of other people would have to witness this nonsense, because it was just too much. Anyway, so then we see Kimmy. She goes to Tisha, and y'all already know I'm team Kimmy all the way. She goes to Tisha, and it seems to me as if she's just kind of trying to check on her, like, let me just see how she's doing, because I know it had to be embarrassing at the chapel for her man not to be willing to recommit to her in front of everybody. So what Kimmy didn't know, obviously, that all of us know now, is that Marsau had already told her he wasn't feeling that and he wasn't planning to participate. So I'm just really curious if Tisha told Kimmy that. Like, did you let Kimmy know that you knew in advance that he wasn't doing this? Or are you leaving it as it is and allowing Marsau to look like the bad guy? Because I honestly can't see him as the bad guy in this situation, but that's just me. Anyways, so Kimmy lets her know that I'm here for you if you need to talk. Like, let's just be sisters. She really wants to let bygones be bygones. Kimmy ain't never tried to have no drama with this girl. And so I really respect that she's still trying to make sure that the door is open for them to be able to have like a good sister type relationship. Anyways, so then the guys are having breakfast. It's Maurice, Martell, and Marsau. And they kind of bring up Marsau's comments about depression. And Martell admits that, like, with all the things he's gone through in the last year, he doesn't know if maybe he is experiencing some depression. And I really think it's worth exploring. So Marsau talks about his feelings of depression stem from just so much stress. And, you know, he's like, you know, I know that I'm overworked. He feels like when he wakes up, he can tell that it's like 8 o'clock. Like, I know that I need to be up and moving and shaking and making things happen and all of that. And so Maurice is kind of like, you know, I'm very familiar with that feeling. And I think that it runs rampant, not just with overachievers, but I think our men in particular, black men, and I can only speak for my own because that's who I'm connected to, that's who I'm close to, that's who I see, that's who I watch. There is such an urgency to make sure that our families never have to experience the level of poverty that many of us had to experience in the past. Like, I grew up broke as hell. Like, me and my brothers and sisters were laughing the other day about how my little nephew went to Monster Jam and bought every single souvenir. When we were kids, you wasn't getting no souvenir. Like, you was lucky mama was able to scrape together enough money for you to have a ticket and a ride. But anyway, so I feel like a lot of black men and black women, we fight hard in our jobs. We fight hard in entrepreneurship because we never want our families to experience poverty. We never want them to go without. We never want them to be lacking in any way, shape, or form. And so a lot of guys are willing to work themselves into an early grave. And I know that myself and a lot of other black women that I know, we make it priority to make sure that we're looking after them so that they don't do just that. Anyways, I digress. So I think it's good though that the fellas are talking about this, because even if nobody decides that they're going to up and go to a therapist tomorrow morning, if the conversation continues to happen, sooner or later, hopefully changes will occur for the better, you know? So everybody is kind of talking about how good the trip was for them, and it was interesting and some good moments happened. And Melody is like, this trip was a disaster. And of course it was for her. Like, I personally believe that although Martell is the worst, I do believe that Melody could have enjoyed the trip if she but wanted to. She was more so focused on making Martell pay. Like, honestly, she was more so focused on making arguments with him. That's just my opinion. I know some of y'all gonna say, no, he deserved it, he deserved it. But she ruined her own trip. And so that was part of my point before, is that she made the trip bad for other people, not just Martell. But it sounds like she made the trip horrible for herself. Anyways, so then we see Melody and Tiffany are having a conversation. Melody is selling her God Said Go merchandise. Get it, Mel. You know, it's nice to see that business is thriving. We see actual products, Robin. You know, it's not just a bunch of boxes that we don't know if they empty or full. We don't know what's in them boxes in that little warehouse. Oh, I'm shady. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, props to Melody. We see actual product. We know that people are buying her God Says Go. If you look at her social media and everything, people are actually interested in it. So that's really cool to see. Congrats to her. But Tiffany has reached out to her to try and get her interns, and she didn't return Tiffany's call because she said she needed to kind of like pull back, and she starts talking about, you know, things with Martell. Then all of a sudden she flips it to apologizing on behalf of Destiny. Seriously? Because Destiny said she was going to drag her? Destiny had every right to tell that girl she was going to drag her. Where's the apology for Destiny that Tiffany ruined her party? Where's the call the next day to check on her for that? Where's the empathy for Destiny, who's going through a divorce, and this girl brings up the idea that maybe her man was cheating on her? Like, come on, Mel. Like, this, I don't understand why this is so one-sided, this relationship with Tiffany. And then, you know, Mel turns it into this thing where, you know, Destiny is just jealous because she wants Mel all to herself. And, you know, her and Tiffany are like, there's enough Mel to go around. I don't really think that's it. I think she don't like Tiffany because Tiffany is a jerk. Whatever. Anyway, so Tiffany lets Mel know that she and Destiny did have a sidebar. They have agreed to get together and try and work on things, which that's cool. I don't really care. They ain't never got to be friends as far as I'm concerned, because I really hope that Tiffany doesn't come back next season. So then Martell takes little Martell to the compound, which is Lewis's space that he owns, where he like coaches and does personal training for baseball, which I think is really, really cool. So while they're there, Lewis wants to gossip, you know, because he got to take tea back to his wife, because, you know, that's what guys do. So he takes Martell to go and gossip and ask him about stuff with Mel. And Martell proceeds to tell him that he's going to ask Melody for full custody of the kids. Y'all that close? Like, really, are y'all that close that this is what you're going to talk to Lewis about? Martell sound crazy. Like, last we heard, you weren't even getting the kids every time when you were supposed to, because you was sad that you was broke and you was sorry and pitiful, or however, I'm paraphrasing, but y'all get the picture. We all remember that he admitted that he had not been getting the kids when he was supposed to, but now you want full custody? Now, I'm with Martell in that I don't want a bunch of people watching my kids. Nobody watch my kids. My mama, my sisters, my brother. That's it. My kids ain't have no babysitters. No, that's not what we doing. So I understand not wanting all these random people, especially if they're people he doesn't know. But I understand not wanting all these random people to have a hand in rearing his children. We do know that his children are important to him, and I respect that. But you can't come to her questioning who's keeping the kids when they could be with you, but when they're supposed to be, you're not available or you're not getting them. And when you ain't still told these kids that they have another sibling. How old the baby now? Like, come on, Martell. Like, you just be looking for reasons to try to act like Mel is this demon and act like she's this horrible wife and horrible mother. And I don't think any of us is believing that. You just are upset that you lost. And by you lost, I mean someone walked away from you before you were done with them. That someone being Melody, of course, which is why you often are trying to claim that you ain't trying to get back with her, which is why you be sitting up here lying saying that you left her when the whole world watched her dump your butt. Come on. Anyways, so then we see, the Scotts go out to dinner. Both Scott couples go out to dinner. My girl Kimmy is looking good. Get it, Kimmy? Tisha's looking great too. She always does. She's so beautiful. But they began to talk about Marsau and him saying that he has this depression. And he quickly says, but I'm not going to do nothing about it though. And that like breaks my heart to hear, you know, and they're trying to convince him why he may want to see professional help. And he's like, it's a phase, bro. Here's the thing about phases. Phases are when something comes and goes, and then a different something comes and goes, and then a different something comes and goes. Depression doesn't just come and go like that. He's like, well, maybe we should just let it self-heal and see what happens. Depression doesn't work like that, sir. It doesn't. Phases, this won't be a phase if it never goes away. And if it's not addressed, and if you don't get the proper help, which doesn't always have to be necessarily a therapist, but if you don't get the proper help, then it's not necessarily going to go. And I know he feels like he wants to finish this project, and I've already started this, and so I'm going to wait until I'm done with this. Okay, this project might be another year. You have young children. Every year is so huge. You don't have years to waste being depressed and emotionally unavailable to your children. And you don't have years to waste being emotionally unavailable to your wife, who is already complaining about communication, who's already complaining about you not being there for her and her wanting to spend time with you. You don't have time to wait for this thing to pass, because what if it doesn't? Tisha is, I think she's Team Marsau. But I think every day she's getting to be more and more Team Tisha. And the more she becomes Team Tisha, the more your depression and your lack of availability and the lack of time that you spend with her is going to be a big factor into the decisions that she makes on a daily basis. And you might grow to regret that. Anyway, so I actually had an exchange with Marsau on Instagram. I don't know how many of you saw it, but he posted a video talking about the feelings of depression last week after last week's episode. And he was saying how he's going to work through it. And he started to make this analogy about how if you have a problem, you see the doctor, you follow the doctor's advice. But then he heard himself saying doctor, and so he abandoned the thought. And he went away saying, you know, I'm going to see somebody who can help me access files in my brain and all of this and all of that. And it's like, bro, you just really, really don't want to see a professional. Like, I don't know what the fear is. I don't know what the hesitancy is. And I get that he didn't want surprise therapy, because I thought that was ridiculous and I would never have done that to someone. But if you need the help, get the help. And that's not just to him, that's to all of us. I'm going to tell you right now, I love my therapists. I've seen two, and I loved them both. I only stopped seeing the first one because my job paid for the second one. But if I have the choice, if I'm feeling down and tired and stressed, if I have the choice between seeing my therapist and getting a massage, I'm seeing my therapist every time, because I leave there feeling like $1,000,000. I leave there feeling like I'm ready to conquer the world, to conquer my challenges, to conquer my fears. I realize that everybody's experiences with therapy are not the same, and not all therapists are created equal. But I just really need our people not to be afraid and not to be ashamed, to have someone help you navigate your stresses. Anyway, so Tisha makes his depression thing somewhat about her. And I understand that she wants to be involved in his healing. And I understand that she feels some type of way about the fact that he never addressed this with her. Like, this was never a conversation that they had. That would hurt me. That would hurt me, because it would make me feel like he didn't talk to me about it because he didn't respect or value whatever opinion I might have on it. So for him to say that to a whole table full of other people, it would make me feel that there are people at that table whose respects and opinions he would value more than mine. So I get her wanting to be involved. I get it. I get it. I get it. But when she said, what can I do? And he said, listen more. She took it personally, and she was like, well, I should just listen and not talk. And I felt like that was the wrong response to that. I felt like she should try to, in that moment, listen. And if you didn't understand what he meant by that, ask questions. But instead, she internalized it as he just don't even want to hear from me at all. And again, I understand feeling that way. But if you cut yourself off by feeling this negative emotion, then you're not actually going to be able to be there to help him, which is what you say you want to be able to do. Now, he came back with, if you're talking and I start talking and then you finish talking, it makes me feel like you didn't listen to what I said. And I'm thinking like, wait a minute. So he's saying if she talking and he interrupts her because he don't give a damn what she's saying, and then she finishes her thought, she's doing something to him like, Marcel, what? What? Like he literally spelled it out that she would be talking, he would interject, and then expect her to not finish her thought. So you don't respect what she has to say. And I completely understand her being hurt by it. They really, really need some help. I really hope that he understands that sooner rather than later. Now, when we had the exchange on Instagram, he claimed that he was going to see someone, and he said maybe a mentor, a life coach, or a therapist. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did say he was going to see someone. I really, 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 really hope he does so that he can actually hear his wife. She should be listening to him. I have to be my husband's soft place to fall. We have to do that for each other. But he still needs to also listen to her. Her feelings are valid and they should matter. Anyways, so then I could stay talking about this relationship stuff forever, but I won't. So then she says that he should see like a therapist, and Kimmy says, well, no, I'm sorry. Tisha says that he should talk to his wife about this. I'm sorry. Tisha said that he should talk to his wife about this. And Kimmy says, well, maybe a therapist or his spouse. Sometimes the problem is the spouse. Now Tisha is all upset again. She is way too sensitive. She gotta grow up and really look at what life is so she can better understand what people are saying. She's saying that Kimmy is now throwing shade. Here come the shade again. That was not shade. That's a fact. The things that matter most to you are the things that give you the most stress. Point blank, period. The people who matter the most to you, the people who you are responsible for, the people you are responsible to, the people who you love, those are the ones who bring you the stress. You don't care about Joe Schmo on the street. So if he is working himself to death and then coming home to hear your complaints, and then putting up with your mama, and then having to fight you because of something he said, trying to deal with your mama, and then you coming and saying, well, you're not spending time with me and XYZ, then yes, ma'am, you are a part of the stress. That doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that sometimes your spouse is the problem. He might feel like you don't understand why he has to work. He might feel like you don't appreciate how hard he works. That would be being part of his stress. It's not a dig at you. It's reality. It happens in relationships. And that's why the two of you have to learn how to communicate what you need and what you're feeling without immediately being offended. In your case, and in his case, without immediately being dismissive. I'm praying for y'all. Okay, so moving on beyond Marsau and Tisha. Then we get to Martell and Melody. So he done took her to this lunch and they started out okay. But then he starts talking about, because you got like 10 babysitters, and you know, we already know that everything is going to go to the crapper from this. I don't blame her for being annoyed and frustrated. And then they start talking about like respect, and she says that he's disrespected her publicly, and he's like, well, you disrespecting me publicly right now. Quiet down. Oh, you kill me being ashamed. You kill me not wanting the news out. But you could be a dirty dog in front of the world. You can announce to the world your child on a picture of my child and all of this and everything, but you want me to be quiet in a restaurant? Go to hell, sir. She could be as loud as she wants to. I hate to make a scene, but how dare he try to get her to quiet down and say she's disrespecting him. Then he says that she's only apologized once in 12 years, even though you did way more wrong than me. Boy, shut up. You are such a child. You're such a child. Staying out at hotels and all of this and all of that. Martell, this is all you're doing, sir. You can try your best to paint a negative, evil picture of this woman. It's not going to work because the world already sees you. The world already sees you for exactly what you are. It's not going to work. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. So stop it. Stop trying to make her seem like the devil because her brother kept the kids and whatnot and so forth. Like, it's just, I thought that conversation was just such a waste of everybody's time. And I didn't blame Melody for getting up and leaving because it was a waste of her time. And she has plenty going on, unlike Martell. And you're jealous of the fact that she has plenty going on. So you're trying to make like it's a negative in your children's lives. Stop it. I cannot stand this guy. And then we see, so the episode was whack. The episode was boring. It was a true snooze fest. But then we see the trailer for next week. I don't know whose idea it was to have an event that was going to be filled with all the mama's presents, but kudos. I love it. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. And we see Van, Mel's mom, her and Miss Wanda going at it, and then Tisha touched Van, and Van was like, "Get your hands off me." It's about to be so good. And I'm gonna be so pissed if it's just one quick little scene. Y'all better give us all the mama beef. Because we're gonna see Martell's mom making excuses for his sorry behind and just making sure that he never ever grows up. But anyways, I think it's gonna be so good and I can't wait. Anyways, so those are my thoughts. Let me see, did I miss anything? Yeah, that's about it. Those are my thoughts. I really hope that Marsau at some point will understand the urgency that exists if he is feeling feelings of depression, to actually get some assistance. It wouldn't hurt anything. Like, you can spare a little bit of time for the sake of your family, for the sake of your health, for the sake of y'all's futures. And I just really wish Martell would just go away. He get on my nerves. Anyways, the good thing is there was this much Tiffany in this episode. That was more than I needed. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.